On today's episode of Big Time, the podcast, brought to you as always by the Landscape Supply Center out there in Herman, Maine. We're diving into the world of professional bodybuilding today. It's going to be interesting. We got Bianca Cooper on today's episode of Big Time. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another round of the podcast. We call it Big Time the podcast. We got a big time guest today here. It's our second professional athlete, which is a pretty big deal. I mean, we got 40-something episodes. It's only our second professional athlete. It's also our second Cooper to come on the pod. We've got Mrs. Cooper. We got Bianca Cooper on today's episode. Bianca, how are you this evening?
I am wonderful. How are you, Tom?
I'm good. This is going to be interesting. Like I said, it's our second professional athlete. We're diving into the world of bodybuilding, which we have not done before. So I know I've got some questions. I'm sure some of the guests too may be interested as well. So we're just going to dive right into it. So
yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Bianca, from a family of how many? We're going back to the beginning. So obviously a Fort Kent native, the Babin clan, one of how many kids here?
I am one of 11.
And how many grandkids from those kids?
10 as of right now.
So you guys got a decent sized family.
Yep, pretty big.
And with all the Babins, I can only think of one athlete. I know Leah was an athlete.
Yep.
Would anyone else in the family play sports at all, or was it just Leah?
My little brothers play basketball, and the youngest boy in the family is a pretty good tennis player, actually, and plays a little basketball. And then my youngest sister is a track athlete, and I think she's going to be pretty good. She's a freshman right now.
Nice.
Yep.
So, what was your background? I mean, kind of growing up, did you do the rec thing at all? Or I know, like, obviously dance is in there somewhere, but as a youngster, what were you into?
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of rec, but when you grow up in a family of 11 kids, you can't have every child doing sports.
Yeah.
So it didn't last very long. I might have done it for a couple of years, but it kind of fizzled out. And then I did start dancing in middle school time. And then in high school, that's when I joined the competition dance team. So I was on the high school dance team. We performed at basketball games. And then I also did the competitive team through JIU.
So who was that? Sonia Charette's whole thing?
Yes, it was. Yep.
So she was the coach for the dance team, and then also had her own little studio downtown, right?
Yep, she was.
So what were like the obviously, like, you mentioned you performed like at basketball games and stuff like that. The studio side of things, what type of things were you guys getting into?
Mostly just choreography, and then when we were like preparing for a competition season, we would do some conditioning classes. They were usually like 4 hours long, and we just do a lot of technique and fitness related stuff that applies to dancers.
Yeah, so like my cousins are dancers. They were part of the dance studio in Madawaska. I don't know what that one's called.
Yes, Serious Movement with Renee.
Serious Movement with Renee.
Yeah.
And I know it's pretty serious. Like, come competition season, I mean, they're up and down the entire state, and they're performing on pretty much every weekend. Was it like that for you as well, or was it not quite to that level when you were coming through?
No, we normally did like 2 or 3 competitions a year. It wasn't very busy.
And you mentioned like the whole just the fitness portion of it, and the getting in shape. Like what is a dancing conditioning like? What type of stuff were you guys doing?
Dancing conditioning, lots of core work, lots of calves, legs, not a whole ton of upper body because you want to have a strong lower body as a dancer.
Right.
So lots of squats, lunges, calf raises, and then of course all the conditioning aspects for our technique. So, working on all the positions in ballet, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, And just all, I mean, I can get into all the lingo for you, but no one would know what I'm talking about.
So the reason why I asked is because, you mentioned you played rec a little bit growing up, but not for too long, and dance was kind of
Uh-huh.
your outlet. So,
Yep.
but I mean, from coming from a family that big, and then getting eventually into the world of bodybuilding, you got to be competitive to do so. And I'm guess was dance kind of like that start to your competitive side, just not only competing but the preparation side of things. Is that kind of what kind of sparked kind of what you got where you are now?
Yeah, so I wouldn't even say I was super competitive. I mean, I was somewhat competitive, but I really found my true competitive nature as a bodybuilder. Even in dancing, I was like, oh, it's okay. Third place is fine. But now it's like nothing less than first place is acceptable to me.
That's a good
um,
thing.
so I've definitely become more competitive now that I'm an adult and in the bodybuilding world. But how I got into it was so I wanted to get stronger for my dance competitions.
Hmm.
So I started going to the gym to put on a little muscle because I was just very small, just, skinny. um, so that's why I started going to the gym and I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of went in, tried every machine out, and then left. And the next day I'd go back and do the same exact thing. Like I was clueless. Um,
So
and then,
how old were you whenever you first started doing like the gym thing? This would have been after high school, right?
yeah, I was 18.
So 18, and then you were going to college at that point. Did you dance in college too?
I did. I danced until I was 20. Once you hit 20, they don't really have much for competitions for dancers, not in like this area or New England area, I should say.
But you were part of the infamous and legendary UMFK dance squad at some point, I believe, right?
Yeah, so my freshman year was the last year that they even had a dance team. And I tried to keep it going sophomore year, but there just wasn't enough like committed people to get it going. So it never happened after that,
Who
which
was
was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, who was choreographing once you got to college? I'm guessing you guys just kind of put together your own stuff, right?
Yeah, we all just put together our own stuff as in my freshman year, but my sophomore year, I was the one choreographing stuff with Stephanie Chick. And then
Stephanie Chick.
I think we only performed at like one game, and then we just didn't have enough people
That was it.
committed. Yeah.
Um, Damn, I forgot about the UMFK dance team. We should do a whole episode just about the UMFK dance team, the history of the UMFK dance team. It's
Yeah, for sure.
too bad it fizzled out. All right, so that would have been around the time you mentioned you kind of just wanted to get stronger for dance, and that was kind of your first introduction into weightlifting and stuff like that. So you would have been, you
Yep.
said 18 when you kind of first got into it, not really knowing what you were doing, but in the
Yep.
in the weight room at least.
Right.
And it was
Yep.
just more so coming in, doing every machine, hitting it, leaving, coming back the next day, doing it again with no real plan, no real goal, not really knowing what you're
Right,
doing.
exactly. It was just like I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna try out every machine in here and feel like I'm getting a workout and then hope that it works.
So what kind of changed? Like, did someone step in? Did you reach out for help? Did you just kind of learn it on your own?
Yeah,
Where did the
so
switch happen?
bodybuilding.com, shout
Mm.
out. um, they have a lot of really great plans for beginners, intermediate, advanced, and whatever your goal is. So they have a lot of free workout plans on there that I was able to look up. But also, like my sophomore year of college, um, Derek and I started dating, and he kind of showed me like how to actually split up your workouts. Like, okay, you're gonna do arms on one day, and then legs on another day, and maybe chest on another day. So he kind of taught me how to split up the different body parts like that to just get a better workout.
And then when did you start seeing results right away? Did you fall in love with it right away? What was once you kind of had an idea as to what it was about? Um, did you immediately fall in love, or was it kind of like a love hate thing?
No, I definitely immediately fell in love because I used to always work out when I was younger, like with my older sisters, all those workout videos, Pilates, that type of
Jillian
thing.
Michaels, all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, Carmen Electra's Fit to Strip, like that was a video. That was a video
Yeah.
I was doing when I was like 12. So,
Yeah.
I always liked being active. I just never found my outlet for it, and the gym just became that outlet for me. And I didn't really, I mean, I got some results, but my diet was the biggest thing. I didn't really know how to eat to gain muscle. I was
Mhm.
just kind of the regular college student eating probably not enough, or no, definitely not enough, and then drinking way too much.
Yes. So
So,
when did the whole diet thing come into play? Or once again, was that something you kind of figured out on your own, or was that from somebody else, or when did that kind of come in the picture?
so I actually hired a coach probably. So I started lifting in like 2011, and then in 2015, like January of 2015, I was like, I feel like I could get more results if I had someone telling me like what I need to be eating and what I need to be doing. So
Hmm.
I hired this coach from California, actually, Becca Micho. It was her competition prep coach that I hired.
Nice.
And he helped me out. He taught me about macros, that type of thing, and it kind of got me started. And I started to see some results, which was cool. And then I just randomly decided, because people kept bugging me. People kept saying, "Why don't you do a bodybuilding competition? You look great. You should try it." I'm like, "No, that's not for me." So finally, I just decided to do it. I found one close by. It was like 6 weeks away, and I just decided to go for it. So I signed up, showed up to the show, didn't really know what I was doing, didn't know how to pose, didn't even know how the show was really run.
Yeah.
And I just kind of wanted to see like where I was at compared to these amazing bodybuilders that I was seeing online. So I said, well, I'm just going to see where I line up against these competitors and get some feedback from the judges and go from there.
So where was that first one? Was that one in Canada?
No, that was in Rhode Island,
Rhode Island, and then
Providence, Rhode
but
Island.
didn't you do
Emily
like a
came with me actually.
yeah? Didn't you do like a beauty pageant or like a beauty contest like in Edmonton like right before that?
Oh no, so that was like that one was like 2 years ago
Oh,
in
okay.
2000. Yeah, so it was like 10 competitions after
All right. So
that time that I
kind of
did the
I'm
one in
kind of jumping the
Edmonton.
gun. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here.
You are. You missed like 3 years.
All right, so we'll get back to that point. We'll get back to this Canadian beauty pageant thing. Then we'll go back to the beginning. So first one was in
Yeah.
Rhode Island, and that was what 2015 you said.
Yeah, 2015.
So and you started lifting like you said like 2011. So what was the transformation from when you first started getting in the gym back in 2011 to your first competition? Like was it pretty noticeable?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Cuz I was like, I hate to use this word, but I was just skinny. I had some like muscle in my legs from dance, but my upper body was like, my arms were twigs. Just for reference, when I was in high school, there were people that used to call me Bony Babin.
Boney
Okay.
Babin. Wow, I hadn't
Yes.
heard that one. Okay.
Yes, it was traumatizing.
They're not saying that no more though. That's for sure. They're not calling you that no more.
No, no.
All right. So first competition was in Rhode Island, and what was the result in this first competition?
So I ended up winning the entire show.
Unbelievable. So let's break this down here because the world of bodybuilding, I kind of know a little bit just from conversations with you, but maybe our guests might not be too well versed in it. So these bodybuilding competitions, obviously, there's a men's division and a women's division, but there's multiple divisions, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
So on the women's side, what do we got?
So we got bikini, which is what I do. And then there's figure, which is slightly more muscle, slightly leaner, and different poses in a different suit. And then women's physique, which is the same type of suit as a figure competitor, but no high heels. So, like when I go on stage and when figure competitors go on stage, they have to wear heels. And women's physique, again, it's different posing and no heels. So
And
that's the women's.
and is it kind of easy like to obviously there's like size difference, right? Like the bikini is going to be more like smaller frames.
Right, like I have a very petite frame, so even though I've packed on a lot of muscle, I still have that shape that they want for bikini. You know, they want that S shape, they want hips, shoulder caps, a small waist, that type of thing. Some people just have a larger bone structure, so figure, even though they might not have like a ton of muscle, figure might be better for them just because of how their body is shaped.
All right, so you got the 3 different divisions on the women's side, and I'm guessing there's similar on the men's side. Probably, I'm guessing there's not. They don't call it the bikini division on the men's side, though.
No, they call so there's physique, which is where they wear board shorts. There's classic physique, which is like a shorter, tighter, like European style type of shorts. And then bodybuilding, which is like trunks, so it would look like a Speedo basically.
And that's probably what people envision when you say bodybuilding. That's probably what you're picturing is like the big dudes that are just jacked in a Speedo on stage.
Yeah, and juiced out. Like
juiced out.
I compete in the natural federation, so I'm drug tested every time I compete, and I place in the top 3. I have to take a urine test, and we also have to take polygraphs before we even step on stage to make sure that we're clean.
That's what I'm saying. There's a whole lot to this bodybuilding thing, right? So you're saying you're on the clean side. So is there competitions where it's just no holds bars? You can be juiced out, whatever. They don't care. You're saying they do that as well?
Right. So there are like the type of bodybuilding a lot of people think of is when they see women who are very masculine looking, men that are like just ridiculously huge. Chances are they're taking some type of performance enhancing drugs, steroids, that type of thing. Now, not everyone that competes in those federations takes stuff. You have to be aware of that too.
Right.
But to do well at a high level at those types of competitions, chances are you'll have to at some point take some type of performance enhancing drug.
That's not where Bianca is, ladies and gentlemen. She's on the clean side. She's in the bikini division, right? So we mentioned the different division. And at your first competition, not only did you win the bikini division, but you won the entire show, you said.
Yeah, so, well, what I mean by that is there are multiple classes within each division. So if you're like a new competitor, you can compete in what's called debut. So it's your first time competing. And then there's also novice, which means you've competed before, but you haven't placed in the top 5. Or you haven't won an open class. And then there's open, and that's anyone who's competed. Winners, losers, they can all go in that class. Doesn't matter your age or your level. So I went and I won each class. So I won the novice class, and then I won the open class. And then I went head to head against the winners of the other novice classes and the other open classes, and I beat them out as well. So that's what I meant when I said I won the whole competition. I won the whole bikini division.
So it's not a bad debut right there.
Right. Not at all.
And I'm guessing that right there just kind of hooked you on it. I mean, I'm guessing to go and actually perform at a show, you kind of, it's got to be something that you want to do. But I'm guessing just getting that immediate satisfaction and victory just made you want to do it even more after that.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
All right. So you mentioned that this first competition was in Rhode Island. So probably not many competitions in Maine. I'm guessing you have to travel for a lot of these things.
Oh, yeah. So there are a couple shows in Maine. I've done one of them. But for the most part, I'm traveling to New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., and I've gone all the way to Key West, Florida.
And what's the purpose behind traveling? Is it just better competition, or I think we're gonna get into your pro card too at some point here. We'll start talking about that. But what's the reason for traveling to some of these places farther away to compete?
Mostly just because they're the ones that are closest to where we are.
Okay.
And if I only wanted to do competitions that were in Maine, I'd only compete once a year. So that's one of the reasons why I travel. But yeah, it's just there's more quality competitors the further, well, not necessarily the further you go, but the larger competitions that you go to, there's going to be more competitors. So the chances are there's going to be a lot of really good ones. And that's how you want to win, right? You don't want to win against a couple of subpar competitors. You want to win against a really tough class.
Exactly. So. And that's the competitiveness I was talking about. I was wondering where this competitiveness kicked in, because obviously you got to have it to be as driven as you are and to keep competing at the level you are. So you mentioned your season, that if you were going to just compete in Maine, you'd be competing once a year. So let's get into what a typical season is like for you. Obviously you can't stay in show shape year round. Obviously you build up to that.
Right.
So let's kind of go through what a typical season is like. When does it start? When are you trying to peak? And then just kind of what happens from there.
So normally, well, I say normally, but since I started competing, I've always done shows in the spring and in the fall. So my competition prep diet would start in January, and I would follow that and slowly lean down. And by slowly, I mean like 1 pound, half a pound a week of weight loss. Not very fast, because you want to do it slow so you can maintain most of your muscle mass. So that starts in January, and then my first show would normally be in April. So leading up to the show, we normally start like 12 weeks out from my first show. And, it just slowly gets more intense. You slowly decrease calories, slowly increase cardio. The workouts pretty much stay the same. And the week before the show is when there's a lot more changes, because depending on what my body looks like, we might need to do different adjustments with water intake, sodium intake, that sort of thing.
And this is what I'm curious about here. So you mentioned obviously cutting back on calories. So you're trying to get basically for the division you're in, you're trying to get shredded basically, right?
I mean, they don't want you to have like muscle striations and veins popping out, but yeah, you need to be pretty lean.
So lean is what you're going for here. So
yeah,
obviously cutting back on calories, increasing the cardio, just trying to get as lean as possible. And you mentioned like come competition week, that's where you kind of make your adjustments and stuff like that. So obviously you want to peak for competition week. What is that competition week like? It can't be very fun, I'm guessing. I'm guessing you're not eating much. I'm guessing water is probably limited as well, I'm guessing, right?
Well, actually, it's not. So because I diet properly, I don't like mess up on my diet.
Yep.
I don't have to make drastic measures to get lean for stage.
Okay.
When you don't prep for a long enough period of time, or you mess up on your prep diet, you're gonna hold on to more fat, hold on to more water. So then come peak week, some people might have to cut water 3 days out. And not completely, but drop the amount that they're drinking, or even cut sodium out. So because I'm usually pretty ready to go, like come peak week, I don't have to do many changes. It's mostly just I cook my food pretty bland. It's all whole, non-processed foods like chicken, eggs, oatmeal, sweet potatoes, that type of thing. And I don't do any protein powders during peak weeks. No diet sodas, no gum. So I just try to avoid the processed foods. And then depending on how my body looks, I might even stop cardio, like 4 days out from a competition, because I'm lean enough and my coach doesn't want me to get too lean. So it depends on how my body's looking, but peak week it's intense, but if you do prep correctly, it's not going to be horrible.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that usually you compete 2 different times during the year, so the spring and the fall. Mm-hmm. So how many competitions do you look at doing? And I'm guessing you want to kind of line the competitions up as close to possible so you can just kind of maintain that peak,
right?
Peak physique for a short amount of time instead of like stretching it out over the course of like a month or 2 months, right? So you try to probably just pack them in there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So if I do compete in the spring, it's usually like first week of April, fourth week of April, and then like the second week of May is normally what my spring competition looks like. Yep. I didn't compete this spring because Derek and I went on our honeymoon to Jamaica.
Great pictures, by the way. Love the picture of
Yes.
Coop on the horse. It's great.
Oh my God. Uh, yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Everyone's got jokes, but
That's my favorite one.
yeah. So I didn't compete this spring, but this fall I will be competing September 7th, and then October 12th, October 26th, and November 13th, I believe. So they're all fairly close together.
So like in a normal year when you compete in the spring and the fall, after you do your spring shows, what are you doing in that summertime frame? Because, I mean, it's probably, what, like 3 months maybe in between competition seasons? So
Yes.
is it more so like a maintain thing, or do you start like a new like 12-week program to get ready for the next set of competitions?
So that's a great question because after competitions is the most vital time for you to be strict with your diet because your body is so depleted that if you go crazy eating all the treats that you haven't been eating during prep, your body is going to reject it. You're going to gain a lot of weight, a lot of body fat, a lot of water weight, and it's just going to be very uncomfortable. So you want to slowly increase your calories. So you do what's called a reverse diet. So after a competition, we will slowly increase my calories, slowly decrease my cardio until we get to a spot where I can just maintain that. And then when we hit 12 weeks out from my fall shows, that's when we begin the prep diet again.
It is a grind. So then you got the fall shows.
It's year round.
Year round, yeah. So then you got the fall shows, and then is it kind of the same idea, just a reverse diet to get you into the new year, and then start prepping for the next round of competitions?
Exactly. Yep.
All right.
There's no off season.
No, definitely not. It's unbelievable, just the commitment you got to make, and just the strictness, and just sticking to it. Like it's unbelievable, and that's why you are a professional. So, you mentioned, or we talked about your first competition was in Rhode Island. Sweep that one. That was back in 2015. About how many shows have you done since then?
15 since then.
And
or 15 total, I should say.
15 total shows, and you've had plenty of success as well.
Yep. All top 3 placements besides one show. I placed 7th. That was at Worlds 2 years ago.
And you mentioned when we were talking about prepping, your coach kind of gets you, gets you where you need to be. So when did you actually hire a coach? Because did he come into the picture after your first show, or did you have him prior to your first show?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So like I said, I had hired Becca Micho's coach from like California.
Yep.
So he kind of got me ready for the competition.
And that's the same coach you have now?
No.
Okay.
So on the day of my competition, I actually couldn't get a hold of him.
Ooh.
And this was my first competition, so I was kind of in panic mode. And I actually broke my bikini. Emily could tell you this because Emily was there with me. She did my hair and makeup. So before I even go on stage, my bikini breaks, and I don't have a backup because this is my first show. And who even thinks to bring a backup when you're bringing like a $300 bikini with you?
Yeah.
So I go to the promoter of the show because that's the only other person I know there besides Emily and Derek. And I was like, do you guys sell bikinis by chance? Because mine just broke. And she's like, we do not, but I have someone that can help you. So she brought me backstage and introduced me to Stephanie, who just happens to be my current coach's wife.
And that's how it all happened.
That's how I met my coach. Yep. And after that show, we actually went out to dinner with them because they had invited us to go eat with them. And we talked to Warren, picked his brain, asked him everything we could think of. And, a couple of weeks later, I hired him and we started training together. And since then, he's been my only coach.
So talk about this coach relationship because, we talked about earlier, didn't really have a sports background growing up, did some dancing, but didn't really have a coach at all growing up. So what is this relationship like with your coach now? How involved is he? He doesn't obviously live in Fort Kent or live in Maine. So how does that whole relationship work?
So he's really involved. I'll talk to him at least once a week, but as we get closer to a show, it's usually like daily or every other day. But right now, just because we're so far out from a show, it's usually just like once a week, unless I have something to ask him or if he has something to tell me or whatever. So I send him videos of me in my posing suit, and I do like all my bikini poses so he can see what my body's looking like, and he'll make adjustments based on how my body's looking. So we do that weekly.
And then is he involved in the diet as well?
Oh yeah, he's 100% in charge of my diet.
So
Like
this
he
this
tells
guy
me
runs the
exactly what to
show.
eat.
Yeah.
He tells me exactly what to eat. He tells me how much cardio to do, all that stuff.
So that's got to be kind of nice. I mean, to not have to think about it, like just have it all, just to be told, and obviously you're sticking to it and it's working. So it's a relationship that's paid off.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a couple other things I want to kind of get into here that you brought up as well. This whole bodybuilding thing is fascinating. It's just a world that I'm not familiar with, and there's questions I have. One of them being this whole posing thing. And you mentioned the first time you showed up for your first competition, didn't really know what you were doing. Still,
No.
still won the show though. So,
Well,
how?
had one posing lesson with a girl from Portland,
Okay.
so that was semi helpful, but my posing was still pretty awful.
So, just how important is posing during a competition? How much do the judges actually weigh that?
It's huge. It's
Okay.
huge because, like, I actually just recently got into judging competitions,
Mhm.
and yeah, posing can actually drop you down a couple places if you aren't good at it. Like your body, you can have the best physique on stage, but if you don't know how to present it properly, you're not going to place as well as you could.
And so I'm guessing it's one of those things that you got to spend just as much time on it even today as you do in the weight room itself. So how often and how long do you practice just posing?
Oh yeah, so posing has to, like, you need to practice posing year round. You can't stop doing that. And I normally in my off season I'll pose like once or twice a week. But once I'm in prep, I'm doing it 3 times a week, and then even as I get closer, I might even do it every single day. Because as your physique changes, as you build more muscle, as you get leaner, your poses are going to have to change because certain things won't look as good on you as they used to, or some things might just look better
Posing. Who would have thought?
posing.
Who would have thought? And then another thing that goes along with it too is you get to pose to music. What goes into your thought process when you're trying to pick your pose music for the season here?
Oh, so I try to pick a different one for each show because I don't want to do the same one at every show.
Yep.
Um, but I just try to think of a song that no one else is going to choose. And because that's the worst thing is going out at, like 2 songs after someone that just used the same song as you.
True. Yeah. I can
So
see
yeah, I
that.
just try to pick. I like older songs. Like I've done a lot of Michael Jackson and Prince. Um, and yeah, it just has to be fun, upbeat, and like I said, not something that other people are really going to use.
And then my final question related to competition wise stuff is the bikini itself. How do you even pick a bikini? I mean, what goes into this thought process whenever you're trying to pick the perfect show bikini? And what are some things that maybe as a professional and someone who's been there, what are some things that you look for that maybe are just small details that make just a difference to you that we might not even notice?
All right, so a couple things. The color is huge because if you have really dark skin, you're going to want a nice light color that's going to contrast well with your skin.
Gotcha.
If you are fair toned, even with a spray tan, you're still not going to be as dark as some other people. So you're going to want a darker suit. But you can never go wrong with like the prime colors, blue, green, red, those types of things. Those always look good. But yeah, you just want something that's going to look good with your hair color, with your skin color, and that sort of thing. And they don't have to be shiny, like with a lot of bedazzled jewels on them, but it looks a lot better when they do.
I agree. I agree.
So it's worth the extra money, and some people have to save up all year just to buy one suit, and they use that same suit for 3 or 4 competitions. What I do is I actually use a suit like once, and then I'll sell it, so then I can have some money to put towards a new suit.
Smart, right there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about actual competition days. So I mean, you talked about the prep, 12 weeks out, getting into your program, eating, working out, all that stuff, and then actual prep week or competition week. How about competition day? I'm guessing there's a lot that goes into it. There's the hair, there's the makeup, there's the tan. Let's go through a typical competition day. How early are we waking up?
Usually about 5. I don't really sleep like on the night before competition because I'm just so excited to go on stage, and also anxious because it's like I've done my part. I've done all the hard work. I've followed my meal plan. I've done all my workouts. I haven't skipped any workouts, no cardio. Like everything has been done to a T. But you still can't control who's going to show up and what the judges will be looking for on that day. So there's all these thoughts that go through your head like, okay, I know I'm prepared, but I still can't control what the result is going to be. So there's all types of those thoughts going through your head the night before. So I typically don't sleep very well. But yeah, I'm usually up around 5. Start doing my hair. My coach's wife does my makeup. If I need any spray tan adjustments, like any touch-ups, my coach's wife also does that. I eat breakfast, and then I just chill until it's time to go on stage.
And then when does the spray tan happen?
Oh, the night before.
The night before, okay.
Yeah.
And then...
And because I'm so white, I actually start like Wednesday, and I'll get a spray tan Wednesday, and then Thursday, some of it showers off, so then I gotta spray tan some more. So I keep just building layers so I get nice and dark.
It's a process. It really is a process.
Yeah.
All right, and then also related to competition day, obviously I follow you on social media, so I always see the box of goodies that you just plan on devouring after you perform. But you mentioned the reverse diet thing and just having to kind of ease back into things slowly after a competition, so you don't just mess up your body or so you don't feel like shit, basically. How much of that, of like the cheat meal, do you actually eat? Like how many donuts are you actually eating after a competition? How many cookies are you going through?
So after my first couple of shows, I went like way too hard with the desserts. And then the next day I felt so sick. And then even like a couple of days after, I was still bloated, retaining water. So I've actually learned as I've gone that your body can't process all of that junk when it hasn't eaten any of it in so long.
Right.
So as much as I want to eat all of it, and I like hoard all of these treats that I can't eat, I like see something in the store and buy it because I tell myself I'm going to eat it on competition day. Yeah, I normally have like a bite of like 3 or 4 different things, and then I'm like, yeah, that's too much sugar, I'm done.
That's it. Wow.
Yeah. And then I have a regular meal, like a regular cheat meal. I'll go out for like a burger and fries or some pizza or something like that. So that's normally what the cheat meal consists of. And then sometimes if I don't have another show coming up, I'll do like a cheat breakfast. So I'll have, French toast, pancakes, whatever. But if I have a show coming up, it's right back on track on Sunday.
It's got to be tough. Unreal. So you mentioned the amount of shows you've done since your first one, and you've had an enormous amount of success. I mean, I've seen the trophy collection. It's quite impressive. What is the goal now? So, I mean, you're what? You're 26?
Yeah, I'll be 26 in September.
So what's the ultimate goal here?
The ultimate goal? Well, first of all, I'm going to compete until I don't like it anymore.
Okay.
Like, I love it.
Yep.
So, but Derek and I will have kids at some point. So right now I'm just trying to get more into judging competitions, helping with posing clinics, that type of thing. So when I do get pregnant, I can still be a part of the world, but I won't be on stage. But yeah, my goal for this year is to, of course, win the Jordan Cup, which is worlds for the OCB. It's the most prestigious title you can have as a natural bodybuilder. So that is my goal this year.
And I'm guessing that's the ultimate goal. I mean, that's pretty much as high as you can climb, right?
Yeah, so in 2017, I placed like seventh or eighth. I think it was seventh. And then 2018, I placed third. So this year, I'm getting a little closer. So going for that first place win.
And where is that competition held?
That's in Washington, D.C.
That's in D.C. Okay. And when is that this year? What's the date for that one?
October 26th, I
Okay,
believe.
so you still got a little ways to go here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have 2 shows before that.
Cool.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the hard-hitting journalistic questions, you're in the wrong place. It's Ethan Asks Big Time Questions on Big Time, the podcast.
We're going to get into our boy Ethan. Ethan asks big time questions on Big Time, the podcast. Ethan, what's your first question for Bianca tonight?
I can imagine that being married to Derek Cooper brings with it a certain level of intensity. So has that intensity been a major influence in keeping you on your game, keeping you motivated, and I guess just keeping you on track with everything that comes along with the bodybuilding world?
Absolutely. So I'm very intrinsically motivated. I'm self-motivated. So he doesn't really have to motivate me, but he is like my number one supporter no matter what. Like if I'm having a bad day or I think like prep isn't going how it should be going, he's always there to remind me that it's going how it has to go and I just need to trust the process. And then also on show day, I don't know if you've ever heard any of the videos that he records, but he is the loudest person in the room.
That's good to have, though. That's what you want in your corner right there.
And actually, when I won my pro card, he ran up on stage and threw me over his shoulder and ran off stage.
A proud husband right there.
100%. Yeah, he's definitely my biggest supporter, and I can definitely attribute my success to having someone that is 100% understanding of what I do, because it's not always easy being with someone who competes all the time, because I'm always dieting. So right. you want to go out to eat? Okay, I'll go, but I'm just going to watch you eat, and I can't eat what you're eating. So it can be tough sometimes, mentally and emotionally. So yeah, he's my rock.
Shout out to Coop. Ethan asks big time questions. Question number 2 from Ethan.
What was it like growing up in the Babin household? I know you have a huge family. I'm not even exactly sure how many brothers and sisters you have, but what was your role in the family? Were you the competitive sibling? Were you stealing your sister's clothes? Were you getting beat up on? Were you handing out the beatings? I mean, shit probably got kind of out of hand. It's kind of hard to keep track of a bunch of kids like that. I have a hard time keeping track of one. So, what was it like? What was it like in the Babin house?
Crazy. Just like nonstop, loud kids running around, fighting, arguing. No one wants to do their chores. But my role was kind of like the mom.
The mom, okay.
So I was, especially in high school when my older siblings were moved out, and it was just, Leah was into her sports, so she was gone every night of the week at like softball, basketball, those types of practices, or just at the college gym shooting around. So I just kind of took on that role of, taking care of my younger siblings, helping them get ready in the morning for school, cooking when we got home from school, that type of thing. But I also don't think that I spoke until I was like probably 10.
Oh, the quiet type.
Because when you have that many brothers and sisters that are all loud, you're either going to be really loud or you're not going to have a voice. And I was the one that didn't really talk too much.
Wow. Yeah. Learning something new on Big Time.
Yeah, for sure.
Gonna get to our final question of Ethan Asks Big Time questions on Big Time, the podcast.
What is your ultimate cheat meal? Let's go with the ideal main course. Let's throw in an alcoholic beverage. Are you You sharing some brandy and Newports with Coop, or do you have your own vices?
Gross.
And let's throw in a dessert. So those three, what is the ultimate cheat meal?
All right, good question.
No brandy for me. Actually, Derek doesn't really drink brandy either. So my ultimate cheat meal is some wings for an appetizer. Definitely got to have the wings. And then, just a nice juicy burger with cheese, lettuce, tomato, bacon jam. So Northern Maine Brewing Co. has bacon jam on their burgers, and this place is in Caribou, Maine, okay? And they have the best burger I've ever had. Out of all the cities I've been to, it's the best burger I've ever had.
Never would have thought that.
A favorite alcoholic beverage with that, probably some kind of like fruity mojito or margarita. Depends what kind of mood I'm in, but yeah.
Good choice.
Something with like a clear alcohol. Normally, I'm not like a huge whiskey or rum person.
Gotcha.
Dark rum. Yeah.
Great questions from Ethan. Thank you, Ethan, for coming through with Ethan asks big time questions on Big Time the Podcast.
From the land of Donair and Poutine, it's time to sort fact from fiction. Live on location, it's Charlito Wonders. On Big Time the Podcast.
Gonna keep the segments rolling here, so we're gonna get to our other co-executive producer, Charlito, Big Bro Charles, with Charlito Wonders on Big Time the Podcast.
What up, Beast Mode Bianca? It's Charlito out here in Halifax. Just want to congratulate you on all the accolades, all the awards, numerous championships on the nationwide scale. You're pretty much a big deal. I'm just wondering, is it true that weeks leading up to the competition, the hardest part was not fasting, the hardest part was not dehydrating the body, the hardest part was getting Cooper to share his bikini bottoms with you? The bikini competition's a big part of the routine, I know, and word has it that Coop doesn't like to share. So, all right, I hope all is good. Keep up the good work.
Is that true? Are you borrowing Coop's bikini bottoms or what?
No one's supposed to know about that.
Oh, gotcha. Somehow Charles knew.
Who saw those pictures from Jamaica?
Yeah, somehow.
Those ones weren't supposed to go on Facebook.
Those photos were leaked. Oh boy.
WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
I hope everyone had a good time, because things are going to get serious for a moment. It's time to talk death on Big Time the Podcast.
All right, so it's almost time to get up out of here. We're gonna get to our serious segment. It's called When You Die. Normally, it's called When You Die. What jersey do you want to be buried in? But for you, we're gonna call it When You Die. What bikini bottoms do you want to be buried in? So, is there a, which championship means the most to you? I guess would be the question here. Which title so far is the one that kind of stands out above and beyond, and the trophy that you would take to the grave with you so far?
So far, my proudest win, I should say, is last spring. I competed in Syracuse, New York, and my class had 12 girls in it, and it's not a huge group of girls, but because we're at the pro level, everyone looked phenomenal. Like, it was one of the most stacked bikini classes I've ever been in. And I drove all the way from Maine to Syracuse by myself in a car rental, went to that competition, not only won my class, but I also won the best presentation award. So I had the best posing out of the whole show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's the one so far.
Yep.
But as we talked about earlier, you still have goals and aspirations to do bigger and better things. You're just getting started, started in your career. So
yeah, for sure.
Bigger and better things to come. Before we get up out of here, is there anything you want to clear the air on? Is there anything you want to get off your chest? Are there any rumors you want to dispel? Anything at all? Now is your chance to talk to the people and get anything off your chest if you need to.
Two things.
Okay.
One, for women, lifting weights will not make you look bulky.
All right.
If lifting weights made you bulky, I would be huge. Okay, I wish it was that easy to put on muscle. It's not. And number 2, stop being scared of carbs.
Carbs can be your friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need carbs, especially if you're an athlete. Like for performance, your body needs carbs. So, yeah, those are my 2 things.
And just to close things out, so we talked about earlier before we got on the air here that you're doing some coaching, or maybe not coaching, but training of your own, right? You got some people you're helping out. So you want to just talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so I do like lifestyle coaching. I don't do competition prep because that is a totally different animal. It's a lot more scientific than just helping someone lose weight and get in shape. So just lifestyle, just trying to teach people how to transform their lives and do something that they can maintain. So I mostly do macros with people. Unless they hate tracking macros, then I will write them meal plans weekly. And I also give them workout plans based on their, availability. If they're, a busy working mom of like 4 kids, I'm not going to have them going to the gym 5 times a week. Maybe we have them doing 3 full body workouts at home or something. So it just kind of, I like to customize things, and that's kind of what I'm doing online. And then I also have my clients that I train one-on-one at the gym.
And are we still doing Zumba? Is Zumba still in there too?
Yeah, actually, I'm starting a new class tomorrow morning at 5:15 a.m. and Pam Bard is going to be there.
All right, mama. All right.
Yeah.
Is there some place people can go to kind of see what you're offering, or if they want to follow you on social media, where can they find you?
So my Facebook is Bianca Rose Cooper, and my Instagram is at fitchick_Bianca. That is also my Twitter handle. I don't really tweet, so don't follow me there.
Well, follow her on the gram, guys. You got she'll take you behind the scenes with this competition stuff. It really is interesting. So definitely follow her on there.
Yeah, I post mostly like physique updates, just kind of how my prep's going, and then also motivational things. And sometimes I post my workouts for people. So that's on Instagram. But yeah, if you are interested in, you need some guidance and accountability, just message me on Facebook because I don't have a website. I'm not really I'm pretty busy as it is with my meal prep company and the clients I already have. So I'm very limited with the amount of clients I can take on.
There you go. So now you guys know, if you want to either follow the journey, be part of it, or get some help, that's the way to go. Ladies and gentlemen, Bianca Cooper on Big Time. Bianca, thank you for coming through. Our second professional athlete, our second Cooper on the pod. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're checking out all of our previous episodes. You can check them out on iTunes. You can check them out on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you're checking out the YouTube channel for Big Time Classics. Make sure you're checking us out on Instagram at Big Time the Podcast for all kinds of fun stuff up on there as well. But that's it for this week's episode. Until next time, we'll see you later.